How's it going, Scale Modelers? Welcome back to another video. It's your host, Ray. Yes, again, another Siren video. I didn't forget about you Siren enthusiasts. This is another discussion of one of my HO Scale Thunderbolt builds, as if I haven't published enough of those videos already. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to say that this will be one of my last Thunderbolt builds, as well as just Siren builds in general. If it hasn't become apparently obvious, my Siren hobby is rather declining, unfortunately. But yeah, I still want to produce as many of these as I can before I officially stop. But enough chit chat. This is my most recent build, and you can tell right away this is definitely a deviation from what I normally build. And this was no accident, obviously. Well, I'm the one who designed it. And this one has quite an interesting backstory, so all of that will be coming in this video. First, I'm going to start off the review and the discussion of all of the features and stuff, and then I'll explain to you guys how this model came to be and really the story behind it, because this thing isn't just a display piece. It actually has some, not sentimental, but it does have a purpose behind it. So right from the get-go, you can see that this Thunderbolt definitely is different in terms of the paint job. And sorry for my camera getting dark. I decided to go with a very dull gray color on this one instead of the usual civil defense yellow that I do. And I figured I'd do this because I've wanted to do a Thunderbolt like this for a while, but I never really found a place to put it until now after a few certain events. So this is what it looks like. Of course, it rotates. It has one of the older screens in it. And actually, this is where I'll start telling the story behind this one. This part of this is the head part here is part of a new kit, but pretty much everything below it is actually old, so I'll explain why that is later. But yeah, there's really not much to see. It's just a gray head. It's very neutral. It's not bright or anything like that, so it's interesting. Alright, this is where things get interesting. For a while now, I've wanted to build an HO scale Thunderbolt with a fence enclosure surrounding the pole base and the blower and everything, but I never really got to that until now. So this is a fence set. It's from a Walthers kit, and it's pretty nice. It was kind of stubborn to build, but overall it came out fine. Here you guys can see the blower in there, and this is what I was talking about, the head being new. The head was from one of my more recent kits that I bought. However, this blower, I've actually had this since 2019, since my good old days. And this blower actually came off of this Thunderbolt that you guys see on the screen right now. I actually ended up taking that one down and storing the other parts for those I'm going to use for a future build, and that will be my last HO scale Thunderbolt, I think, so that's going to be pretty sad. But that's still a long ways away, so don't get sad just yet. But yeah, I used the blower on that one because I had cut off the vent to make it a 5M or 6M blower, and I wanted to keep that same kind of deal with this Thunderbolt because that's I'll explain why later. So that's what I did. You can see I used some old Thunderbolt screens, HO scale Thunderbolt screens, as sort of a screening pad up against the concrete pad that the blower rests on. And here you can see the controls also match the gray color of the rest of the siren, and there's a number 1 on the RCM panel. That I just felt like putting there because I had an extra number 1 decal and it looked pretty cool. And as you can see by now, all of the conduit is also painted to match the gray, so this is certainly something unusual because I normally put on conduit and make it a separate color from the siren to make it more noticeable. Like on my other builds, I'd make the conduit gray as usual and then the siren yellow so you'd be able to see it more. But this time I kind of wanted a more concealed look. Now around the fence enclosure you guys can see some bushes, and these bushes are actually real. I actually went out to my backyard and took some small branches off of the bushes in some of my backyard, and then I put diorama turf. Well, I put super glue on those branches, and then I put diorama turf around the branches, so and they would stick with the super glue. And overall, I think they came out okay. They look okay. So that's that. Let's talk about the fence. The fence, it's, as I said, part of a HO scale kit from Walthers. You can probably find one at your local hobby store. And if you're curious, right here, these are supposed to be like no trespassing signs. And this is actually kind of a reference to some of the fence enclosures of the former Thunderbolt locations close to me in Naperville, Illinois. Here's what they look like. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a yellow sign there. It's like some sort of fencing business. And these I actually made with paper, and I added some yellow and brown paints to show the fact that they were weathered, and then I just glued them onto the fence. These were actually really stubborn, and they just didn't want to glue, so it took a while to get them on there. Well, that really concludes my discussion about the model. Overall, it was a nice build. It was different, of course, and it was cool building it. And now to finish the backstory behind it. So as I said, this head part here from the kit came from a new kit that I ordered in 2022. But the blower came from a kit that I built in 2019 that I showed you guys earlier. The pipe, the blower pipe, I think that's part of the new kit, and so are the controls. But it was kind of cool that I guess I used the older blower, and also the blower pad is also from that 2019 kit as well. Now, I also explained that there was some meaning behind this build, and now I'll talk about that. So for those of you who aren't aware, back in 2018, I started playing Roblox. Yes, I know that's kind of silly. I started playing Roblox, pretty much just building stuff, building mostly sirens, and that's pretty much how I came to be in the siren community as I am right now. I continued playing up until March of 2022, and for those of you who aren't aware, Roblox published an update which caused many of the sirens in my game that I ran to fall silent, and it was really sad because I worked a lot on that game. I really loved that game, and I was ready to sign it off and say, all right, I'm done, and I'm ready to move on to a new project. And this new project, it was a new map that I was working on with two other people, and this was going to be one of the sirens in it. And unfortunately, due to this update, we agreed to cancel this game and just shelve it, and I guess we might release it for free to let someone else finish it if they ever find the motivation to do that. So that's why I nicknamed this thing For All That Never Was, to really just, I guess, pay a little tribute to everything that would never be due to this sound update. And yeah, it really sucks, but I mean, I'm getting older and it's time for me to leave the games. So I guess it was early. I didn't want to leave this early, but all good things unfortunately must come to an end. So that's why I have this thing. And I really like it. I think it looks cool, and I hope you guys feel the same way. And that's the story behind it. So that's the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more siren content and airplane content. I do have more siren content. It's going to be a little slow, but once summer kicks in, I am going all out. So be prepared for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.